So our guest for the Bench podcast this week received an OBE just last year for his services to Community Rugby League. John Wilkin, it wasn't you, by the way.
No, that was quite clear that wasn't me.
I am delighted to say that on this week's bench, we have the owner and chairman of the Huddersfield Giants, Ken Davy. Welcome along.
Welcome, Ken.
Well, delighted to be here, and thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for agreeing to come on and have a chat with us about all things rugby league, all things Huddersfield Giants, and all things Ken Davy, because we really kind of want to get to know you as well while we have you on as a guest. And
Yorkshireman.
Yeah.
Is this something you've just learned?
I'm an East Yorkshire lad. I came from Filey on the East Coast. I was one of the urchins running around Filey 75 years ago.
Okay, so, let's start at the beginning then. Why rugby league? What got you into rugby league and what got you into the Huddersfield Giants?
Well, when I was growing up, I had no interest in sport. And
none at all?
None whatsoever.
Wow.
I played a very poor club standard of badminton, and that was about it.
Right.
So football, rugby had no interest for me at all. I first, and that's right up till just before I was 50. And then we got approached to sponsor, the company I had then, we got approached to sponsor the Huddersfield Rugby League Club. And we hadn't a clue, so we sent it to our advertising people in London, and they said, yeah, it's a good deal, snatch the hand off. And so then we start getting free tickets, and Jennifer and I, who had been a far towner right up to marrying me, she gave up rugby league for love, you could say. So we started getting tickets and coming down. And I was incredibly impressed by the integrity of the players. If a rugby league player stays down, he's hurt.
Yeah.
Whereas other sports is not necessarily the case. And certainly I'd seen snatches of football on television, and it seemed to be more about going for an Oscar than actually being injured. So yes, the integrity of the players was what really struck me. Then the fitness, because they are incredibly fit.
Yes, they are, aren't they, John Wilkin?
Well, yes, sometimes they are. Sometimes they aren't. I mean, that's the obvious thing to say. Yeah, Ken, you mentioned there the reason you got involved in rugby league was via business, essentially, your business.
Yes.
Now, you're a businessman. Now,
yes.
Give us a background into your entrepreneurial mind. You're a serial business owner. Have all of them been successes?
No, I've probably had far more failures than successes, but I have had 3, 4, 5 really successful companies. I've taken 2 public, and I've always founded them with just myself, and then grown from there. So the thing is to have an idea and then decide whether it's really one that's going to fly. Yeah. And if it's one that you really want to work with.
Yeah.
And if you conclude that it is, then you have to just focus on it completely. Everything else takes second place. Hence, no interest in sport or anything else. Right. Just absolute focus on the goal.
So almost sacrifices as well.
And you have to live it, eat it, sleep it.
Yep.
And just keep going for it. And nothing goes like that. That you'll have obstacles, hurdles, and you have to decide whether you go over them or take a step back and go around them.
Right.
But you have to keep going forward.
Is that your biggest learning from being in business? That inevitability of obstacles in your way?
Absolutely. I don't know. Certainly, there's no business I've been connected with that has just gone smoothly through success.
That's very much like sport as well. I mean, there's obviously sport faces so many hurdles and obstacles, and it just has a responsibility to keep ploughing on. You said ideas there. You know, you need an idea.
Yeah.
What's been your greatest idea?
The greatest idea is, it's been driven by a desire to help serve the public.
Right. Okay.
That's the reality. You've got to have that.
Example.
You've got to have a desire.
So what do you mean? How do you feel you've
Well, in
served
financial
the public?
services, which was has been my main businesses. Before that, I had a very successful photographic business. I was a photographer.
Yeah, so you were a photographer for... you went on P&O Ferries, is this right?
No, not P&O
Well,
Ferries, do me a favour.
What was it?
We were on World Cruises.
No, yeah, so you did photography for World Cruises.
Yeah.
For World, sorry, excuse my research.
P&O Ferries.
P&O Ferries.
Wash your mouth out.
This is, sorry, what exclusive World Cruises. Yes, but you had a photography business. And what was that?
When I left the sea, which I did from 17 till age 21, I had skills. I, for example, could do colour photography in the early 60s when no one could.
Wow.
I mean, I did the first... I took, processed and sold the very first colour photographs ever on a commercial ship anywhere in the world.
Really?
That was the maiden voyage of the Oriana. And that was... so when I left the sea, I had a skill which no one else had. And so I started the photographic business from scratch. Put some adverts in the Huddersfield Examiner. And
never looked back.
And it just flew. It was very successful.
That's incredible. The first colour photograph.
Yeah.
Well, name the boat again.
Pardon?
What was the first picture that you developed?
It was the maiden voyage of the Oriana.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was
the first Oriana? There's been scraps since then.
Wow, that's I had no idea. That's an incredible fact to learn about you, Ken. It's amazing.
So you went from then photography, that did well, that flew,
Yeah.
and into financial services directly.
Yes, I did, because I had a very strong interest in and involvement in politics at the time. I'd been on the local council. I was on the borough council of Huddersfield, and I was a prospective parliamentary candidate. And in fact, I fought my first election in June 1970.
Wow.
And so after that, I took stock.
Yep.
And again, which is something I believe in, you've got to just analyse the situation. And I asked, do I want to be still taking photographs in 10 years' time? The answer was no. Yeah. So then the question is, well, why are you doing it now?
Okay.
And
Great.
so I looked to do something else. I wanted to be involved in money, frankly.
Do you like money?
Not for itself, no. For the good it can do for other people.
Right, great. So you're about service. A lot of what you do is about...
It's all, yeah. When I was a councillor, it was 2 days a week out of my photographing business, and it was unpaid. You know, being on the council then was a voluntary service. Yeah. You didn't really get expenses. You could claim it, but most people didn't. And it wasn't that I was well off. It was just that that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. And so it was, yeah. So it is about service, and because there are no pockets in shrouds. So we're put on this earth, in my view, to do what we can to help other people. Now, the better you do yourself, the stronger position you are
to help others.
To help other people. So believe me, I strive very hard to be successful.
I read a beautiful quote actually a couple of days ago that you've reminded me of. It's, we're all just trying to help each other get home, which I thought was really, really lovely. So I want to talk now. I want to talk about...
I'll give you another example of that, just a quickie.
Yeah.
And that is, as you reach up for the next rung of the ladder with one hand, you reach down with the other hand to help the next person up.
Amazing.
That's
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think that notion of service is really special.
I want to move on to Huddersfield, something else that I know you love dearly, this club, this town. Can you try and elaborate, put into words what this rugby league club means to you, Ken?
Well, my beloved Jennifer was a devout fan of rugby league. She didn't go to another match after we got married until we got involved in Huddersfield Rugby League when I was about 50. But so yeah, it's very important to me, but it is getting very difficult. I can't hide the fact that it is very, very difficult now.
Why? What
because
do you mean?
I mean, we've had some great years. We got the League Leaders Shield. We've been at 3 Challenge Cup finals, but coming second is no fun. Indeed, the last one was only a couple of years or so ago, and we were 3 minutes from
3 years ago,
grasping the win.
Tottenham, yeah.
And broken play, bounced the ball, and we lost to Wigan. And I don't think we've really recovered from that. It's been tough.
Yeah. So I suppose without your beloved partner, your beloved wife, it's hard as well to continue because, as you said, this meant so much to her. How hard is it for you, Ken, to sit back? We recall 3 years ago, Challenge Cup final, Huddersfield certainly seemed to be on the way up. To see where I suppose the club is at the minute, how challenging is it for you? I know you kind of touched on it there, but and why? Why are we in this situation for Huddersfield?
We're in a very dark place at the moment. We have, as everybody knows, that you get injuries in this game. But we have had more injuries than I can think of any club having for a long, long time. And that has made life very difficult. Luke Robinson has had it. He's not been able to get the same team out 1 week from the next. We're just starting to get people back now. But even tonight, we've got players that have hardly trained together.
Yeah.
And so that has been incredibly challenging.
Can I just circle back? Sorry, just to go back slightly to Jenny, Jennifer, your wife. She hates Jenny. She hated Jenny. Jennifer, how much of your love for her has motivated you to keep going in the light of all of the difficulties that are going on?
Well, it's not a. It's obviously. That's why I've continued to be involved. The reality is I can't go on forever. So the game itself needs to... and Huddersfield, we need more success. We need to get more people here. We've got some tremendous fans. They're very loyal, but their loyalty is being tested at the moment. And the board, myself personally, Robbo, and of course the players are hurting just as much. We're all incredibly disappointed about where we are, but at the moment it is very difficult.
You say you can't go on and do this forever. How long do you have left in terms of your involvement with the club? How long do you think you can give it?
There's no time scale. That would be ridiculous.
Can you see yourself doing it in 10 years?
Right, that's a really good point. The answer to that is no.
No, right, okay.
That's exactly the question, yeah. The corollary of that is then why now? Yeah. However, success can't live with failure. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. Success can't live with sustained effort.
Yeah.
So if you keep going, then you haven't failed until you stop.
Yes.
We've had some great successes at the Huddersfield Giants, and hopefully we'll have some more. Yeah. I certainly hope so, but we're in a very difficult place at the moment, and everybody involved in the club cares deeply about that.
Let me talk about one thing. Well, two things really. One, the size of the venue that we're in, and the size of your fan base.
Yeah.
The fan base has been growing. That fan base has been a project for some time. Why has that been so difficult in this town?
I wish I knew the answer to that, John. I really do. I guess one quick answer would be that it's more a football town, and I wish the football club every success. We're in this wonderful stadium now, and the fact is, with our fans, we rattle in a 24,000 seat stadium, and that makes it very difficult to get the atmosphere that you want. Even when we go back to the heady days of League Leaders Shield, etc., we were still 6,000-7,000. We weren't breaking the 10,000, which was the goal. Right. And I believe in setting a goal and going for it. But this has been the most difficult problem to solve that I've ever had.
I want to get onto the stadium in a minute, but just on that, do you believe you can get out of this?
We will get out of it, definitely. This is a passing phase in just the same way that success is a passing phase. Apart from clubs like Saints and Wigan, who seem to have consistently been successful, and I wish I knew their formula.
Yeah, don't we all?
Well, it probably is 10,000 plus fans, isn't it? A week. There's got to be a correlation between the financial, and having fans who are paying, who are buying, and contributing to the club, and then the amount at which you can invest in the club. Whereas I would imagine, without knowing and without wanting to pry, without your contributions, Ken, the finances of the club are tricky, aren't they?
Well, that's obviously. There are probably 10 or 11 clubs in the game at the moment that couldn't survive without contributions from their owners, and significant 7-figure contributions.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the leading clubs that you were indicating there that have got 10,000 plus fan bases and so on, their owners are still putting in the best part of a couple of £1 million or more, even now. So they're not financially viable in the game as it currently stands.
So you're in financial services, Ken. You have somebody who manages your office, your family office, or your estate. What do they say when they see the money that you're pumping into the club? What's your account? I want to get inside the meeting with Ken's accountant, where he's saying, "Look, Ken, going to have to address this."
Yeah.
Do you have that conversation?
We have had that conversation. In fact, I can tell you that even before, it was probably about 5 years ago, that it was pointed out to me by my accountant that I could have given everybody that came through the gate to every game a £20 note, and I'd have been better off.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
You'd have owed me. I think you owe me about 300 quid.
Yeah, exactly.
I think about 300.
Exactly.
Maybe
but,
more.
I mean,
more.
That is a salutary thought, isn't it?
God, it is. Yeah.
So that's every fan, every game.
Wow.
Here's a £20 note for coming down.
Well, on behalf of all the fans and everybody, Ken, I'd like to say thank you very much for your beautiful contribution.
Yeah.
But it's a stark example, isn't it?
It is.
Used to shock.
And we've kept Super League going in Huddersfield, the birthplace of the game. And there are other owners now. I mean, I've probably been doing it for longer, nearly 30 years now. But the reality is that the game at this moment in time is entirely dependent on Sky, of course, and the owners, because virtually every owner is having to put significant, and I mean significant sums into the game to keep going.
It's very refreshing to hear somebody mention Sky's name.
In a positive,
honestly,
note,
Sky, we, as you know, at Huddersfield, we try and give Sky every story that we get first. We give it to you first. We are really strong supporters of Sky.
And we appreciate that.
And you look at what Sky has, how Sky has promoted the game for the last 30 years, and it's been it remains a very positive partnership.
Yeah, thank you.
And one that I think we should all do our best to support and encourage.
Thank you for saying that, Ken. On this podcast, we've got a segment. It's called Guilty, Not Guilty. We'll give you a statement and you either say guilty, as in you agree, or not guilty, as if you don't, and then you explain a little bit. So my statement to you is Huddersfield Giants will be playing at the Shea in 2026.
Well, not guilty at the moment. The fact
With
is,
conditions.
The fact is, we don't know.
Okay.
Our objective, beyond a shadow of doubt, is to build a new, smaller stadium for the Giants in Huddersfield. We can actually stay here for the next 100 and odd years. We're not being forced out. But the reality is, if we want to get the atmosphere that I want to get and our fans want to share in, we need a smaller stadium. We need that in Huddersfield. We've had four sites that we have tried to get planning permission for or approvals for, and we've failed on all 4 occasions. So we haven't given up.
Is that frustrating? Has it been frustrating?
It's incredibly frustrating. It's frustrating and it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
We've probably spent over 100. Well, we've spent into 6 figures
To be told no.
on the analysis, the surveys, the applications,
money.
and all of that, and it's just been money down the drain. And we're revisiting our favourite spot at the moment, which is the gasworks site. Now, Kirklees are reluctant to allow us to have a stadium there because they're looking for an investment zone and higher employment or higher salary. Mind you can't get much higher salaries than rugby players.
Sometimes.
But at the moment, this investment zone is ruling the roost. Frankly, I believe that we could exist really well with the investment zone. I think we could support it because we'd have the kind of sporting facilities that gyms and things like that people need. We'd also have be very close to the University of Huddersfield. Have a very good relationship with them. They're a great university, and so there are so many pluses. And it was turned down over 2 years ago, but we're having another go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just say this: when I was in Toronto, the stadium where we played, Lamport Stadium, was in the middle of the tech hub of Toronto. So Google, Facebook, big tech offices were all around this stadium. And, there's high net worth tech entrepreneurial people all around the stadium. The stadium became a hub for them. Yeah. It was somewhere for them all to go. It became a central point for all of that commercial activity. So I just think...
Well,
I think having a sports
that's
stadium,
great. I might ask you to come along to the council with me.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It can be quite persuasive at times.
Sometimes.
That is our first guilty, not guilty that hasn't had a guilty or a not guilty on this since the segment came in.
Yeah, there we go. It's evolving all the time. My guilty or not guilty is Luke Robinson's pitch whilst at your house over tea and biscuits was that compelling you had to give him the job.
Guilty, yes.
Guilty, yeah,
absolutely, yeah. And I have to say that Luke has had a really difficult start with the injuries. He's not been able to put a team out until very recently, and we're hoping that that people are coming back. Well, they definitely are, and that the second half of the season will be significantly better. And but I do feel for Luke. It must be so frustrating for him.
What was the pitch? What was it like? Was it an informal? What was it? Tea? Because he said tea and biscuits. He came around for tea and biscuits. I've got 2 questions. How was the pitch and what biscuits? I think that's important.
The biscuits would have been chocolate digestives.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
No shadow of a doubt.
No shadow of doubt.
Ken Davy just never.
Yeah. And the thing is, I have to be very careful how many I take out the packet, because whatever comes out the packet doesn't go back.
Do you go dark chocolate or milk?
Pardon?
Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
I like both, but preferably milk.
Milk, okay. Yeah,
So just sorry to go back, not just the biscuits. There's just exclusively milk chocolate digestives in your house. That's the only biscuit.
That's the only one I can recall.
So just to bring it back on track, because we are getting close to having to call it a pod.
Yeah.
Just on Luke Robinson, Ken, you say he's had a really difficult start to his career as a head coach. Do you believe that he's the man that will see this team back to success?
I think there's every opportunity for him to do that, and for the players to support him and to start getting the results on the pitch. And we signed Niall Evans and brought him in as a top-class fullback. He played half a game and
Straight
broke
out.
his foot.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot legislate for things like that.
No, you can't.
And so, we've got Tristan having his first game tonight, so I'm just praying that he's as a good...
Touch wood. I'll tell you this about Luke Robinson. I've known Luke. I grew up same age as Luke, played all the way through with Luke. Luke is as honest as the day is long.
Yeah.
He has so much integrity about him that I want him to succeed just because he's
a likeable guy.
Well, he's such a good guy. And he loves the club. But, I mean, it's easy to say that, isn't it? Because everybody says that when they're employed by the club. But, you know, he spoke with such... We had him on the podcast, and he spoke with such passion about his vision and the direction that I was like, it will go well. Yeah. It just needs everybody to hold the nerve. Yeah. This is an obstacle, Ken. Yeah. You need to go around it or
it's
over.
An absolute... it's a real challenge for everyone at the moment. And... I desperately want Luke to succeed,
of course.
And so I'm delighted to see the players are coming back, and let's hope that we can start getting the wins.
Yeah, halfway through the year.
I think you used the term "a line in the sand." Yeah,
exactly.
So. Fingers crossed.
So we are almost out of time, but we've also got another segment on and off the bench. On the bench is something you want to see less of in rugby league. Off it is something you'd like to see more of. What would you like to see more of in rugby league?
I would like to see. I'd like to see more tries. I'd like to see less. What's the best? Less focus by the video ref on on details.
Yeah, okay.
I know, the details are the rules, but for example, trying to figure out whether it's a double movement. We spend 5 minutes. That's an exaggeration, I'm sure, but
I don't know, actually.
It's not actually.
Trying to figure out whether something's a double. I think the objective is to get the ball down on the try line. And I couldn't care less whether it's a double movement or not.
Movement. And you want it out.
I don't think most spectators care less whether it's a double movement. So I'd get rid of that as a rule, and any other things that make it more difficult to get tries. Yeah. I would give more points for a try that's scored from your own half. So that you get more breaks and stuff like that.
I like this.
Encourage
You've given this some thought, haven't you, Ken?
There's a number of rules like that I'd want to see improve.
John,
the objective to it's a fast game already, and it's a hard, tough game. But you want to make it faster.
Yeah. Double movement out of the game.
Double movement is on the bench. I'm completely aligned. This is the campaign that starts to get double movement eradicated from the game. On and off the bench, Jenna Brooks, have you got any? Can I go with one?
Yeah, we've got a minute left.
Okay, off the bench. I want to see more of it. I would like to see, for one series of games in the year, that not violence, but fighting to be allowed.
Fighting, as in bring back the biff, John Wilkins.
So just for state of origin, let them fight.
Okay.
And the reasons, I understand all of the medical reasons, all of the concussive injury reasons, I understand all of the safety concerns, but it's incredibly entertaining. When I grew up and I was watching Gordon Tallis and these guys and scrapping it out, and it was only in isolation. It wasn't like that was happening every week. Origin was all about the first scrum and it kicked off. I kind of liked it.
Right.
I know
I understand what you're saying, but it's not something that I could support.
No.
The rugby league is tough enough.
Yes.
there will be times, and there often are times when tempers flare, and certainly the Giants have been involved in one or two. So I think let's go as we are.
Okay.
Perfect. It's not happening, Ken. You've made that's the final
There we go.
call.
We are not bringing back the biff. Ken Davy, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's
fascinating.
been great
Such
to get to know you.
chat.
First
really
colour
was.
photo.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for the chat, and I've really enjoyed it.
Do you have the first colour photograph? Do you have it? Do you have it framed at home?
I do have some. I came across them recently. I do have some of the originals. Do you remember a guy called singer Kenneth McKellar?
Yeah,
You
we're
won't know.
gonna
You
lie.
won't. You
We're gonna
won't know.
lie.
Look him up.
No,
on
yeah, we do. Yeah, of course.
And well, he was on the ship on one occasion, and I took some shots of him, and I still have them. And I think I've got a picture of myself with Miss Japan as well.
All right then, Ken. Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Well, there was one trip when we were going round the Pacific, and every place we took, we picked up the Miss Universe contestants,
okay.
and being the photographer, of course, we had privileged positions.
And it was at that point Ken said, "Can I see myself doing this in 10 years?" No, and I'm not. I don't believe it for a second.
Jennifer
Ken
was
Davy.
delighted.
Yeah.
Thank you
good.
so much,
Yeah, thank you,
Ken. John,
It's been a pleasure.
Been a
Yeah, it's
pleasure.
been a
Thank
pleasure.
you.